Welcome to the Elite BSC podcast, where our entire focus is helping commercial janitorial contractors succeed. You want a growing company, a thriving team, and healthy profits, and we are here to help. My name is Jordan Tong. I'm the founder of Elite BSC, a company dedicated to helping janitorial companies grow and thrive. I also serve as CEO and one of the owners of France Building Services. France is a janitorial company employing nearly 600 people. Since 2007, we grew from 1.5 million to more than 20 million in annual revenue and built what I think is one of the best teams in the world. The goal of Elite BSC and this podcast is to give owners in the industry a vision of where their company can be and the information and tools to get there. I want to share what I have learned over the years to make this a reality for you. Hey guys, Jordan here with Elite BSC podcast. So the topic that we're going to get into, this is going to be the first part in probably a 5-part series that I'm going to do on a book that I've been reading called The 5 Most Important Questions You Will Ever Ask About Your Organization. So as I was working on my thinking about the things that I wanted to read this year, one of the things that I try to do is immerse myself in a particular author, if I can, and just so I can, get inside their head, if you will, and learn about why they think the way that they do. And I think that it can be helpful. And so, someone who stands out in the business world, I think, as someone who's written prolifically and has had a long-term impact on the way people think about business, is Peter Drucker. And so most business books, in my opinion, and leadership books are, as a friend of mine said, mindless drivel. They're just so, I would call them cotton candy stuff. I mean, it's just so superficial. It's based on someone's one anecdotal experience. It's just, there's not a lot of substance. Now, sometimes you may pick up a nugget or two, but most of them I find to be not supremely helpful in the long run. Now, there are exceptions to that. There's, books that are very unique in their own right. Things like the E-Myth is something I would put on there. Good to Great is another one. And there are others. But as a general rule, 95% of what you're going to find on the bookshelves is not worth reading, in my opinion. But Peter Drucker is certainly an exception to that rule, and his thoughts are still influencing people at the highest levels as they're thinking and writing about business. So it was a long-winded, kind of nerdy introduction to this book. This is a super short book, and it's a super easy read. And essentially the format of the book is it walks through these 5 questions that Drucker, and it was initially written to nonprofits, actually. It was a book he had written called The 5 Most Important Questions You Will Ever Ask About Your Nonprofit Organization. But this book was turned to have more of a focus on for-profit businesses as well, and the stuff is certainly very relevant. So the particular questions that Drucker says are the most important questions and that are outlined in the book is, what is our mission, is question 1, which is what we'll talk about today. Who is our customer? Question 2. Question 3 is, what does the customer value? Question 4 is, what are our results? And question 5 is, what is our plan? And these are, in some ways, very simple questions, but really difficult to answer sometimes when you really sit and think about it. And but the more clarity we get on these questions, the more clarity we're going to have on our business, and I think the more successful we can become. And the companies that are successful are the ones that have clarity on these things. And so the format of the book takes an excerpt of Drucker on each particular question, and then someone who is a relevant figure or expert on that particular topic will then write a short chapter in addition to that. So on this particular one on mission, you have a short section from Drucker in the book, and then Jim Collins, who wrote Good to Great, then has a short chapter commenting on this particular topic. So the first question, and the one we'll talk about today in this episode, is mission. What is our mission? And I have I don't want to sound like I'm beating a dead horse, because if you've listened to me for over the years on videos we produced and that sort of thing, and I know on this podcast as well, but we've talked about mission a lot and its importance. And I remember when I first started leading in our organization and trying to be a good leader, and I was young and immature and inexperienced and all the rest, but this whole idea of mission kept popping up. Like, you need a mission and a purpose for why your company exists, etc. And so we went through some of that, and it always felt like I was trying to force this on everybody when everyone is like, hey, Jordan, the real thing we have to do is these jobs that you've hired us to do, and they take up a lot of our time. And if we could get on with this, get over all this mission talk, then we could get on with our job that we actually have to do. But we kept pressing on, and over the years, I've begun to see that vision and that mission has significantly shaped who we are as an organization and what we've tried to accomplish. And it's critical. So, like, as I circle back around and think, man, that was the right thing. Like, it has become the mission of our organization, and what's wrapped up in that has become central to who we are. It has helped shape our decisions. It has helped push us in certain directions. It has helped us assemble our team and get people off of our team that shouldn't be on our team. It's had a profound effect on who we are, and it has challenged us and been something in front of us that has molded the soul of our organization. So, and I think that's a good onboarding point here, and because one of the things Drucker talks about in this chapter is that, and I'm going to quote him here, he says, a mission cannot be impersonal. It has to have deep meaning, be something that you believe in, something you know is right. A fundamental responsibility of leadership is to make sure that everybody knows the mission, understands it, and lives it. And this is certainly true. I mean, if you want people to rally around the organization and what you're doing and be bought in, there needs to be something that they believe in. Like, nobody wants to half-heartedly be a part of something that's like, that's okay. Like, you're not going to get the level of buy-in that you want in that particular type of situation. And I think Drucker is exactly right. And Jim Collins talks about this as well in the subsequent chapter and in Good to Great, that you need things that can unite people. You need something people can believe in that can help shape the decisions that people make on a day-to-day basis. It needs to be something that matters, that it matters to people. And look, I get, you hear all this talk about mission, and I get in the janitorial industry, like, how in the world do we turn what we do into something that people are going to get excited about? And I do think it's fair to say that, as it relates to the mission's effect, I think there's a real sense in where the cleaning team members are going to have a harder time with some of the mission. And it's a nature of maybe their phase in life or where they're at. I think our mission as an organization can affect positively and help those cleaning team members. And some of those team members will certainly buy into it. But at that level in the organization, a lot of them, it is just a job to make ends meet as well. But as we move up the proverbial hierarchy in the organization, we need more and more people to be bought into it. Because in our industry, we have, in my opinion, we have two different customers. One is our internal customer, which is our team members, and then the other is our actual customers that we clean for. And the largest bulk of our internal customers are the end team members, the cleaners out in the field. And so we need our mission to at least affect those individuals and somehow do something to help serve them, better them, etc. And so that mission needs to affect those field managers, branch managers, operations managers, salespeople, HR people, etc. in our companies, if we want the mission to affect what's happening out in the field. And until it's affecting what's happening out in the field, we're not really differentiating ourselves. We're not being really unique as an organization. So, but here's a second component to this. This is something Drucker says the effective mission statement is short and sharply focused. It should fit on a T-shirt. The mission says why you do what you do, not the means by which you do it. The mission is broad, even eternal, yet directs you to do the right things now and into the future so that everyone in the organization can say, what I'm doing contributes to the goal. So it must be clear and it must inspire. So we've all walked into the lobbies of organizations and seen their mission statement on the wall. And it's like 2 or 3 sentences long. And immediately, when I see that, I think no one in the organization knows that mission statement, nor does anyone really care that much about it. And it is certainly not shaping what's happening there. But a short mission statement that everyone gets and everyone can easily see and memorize and know, and that packs a punch, really can move the needle in the organization. So in Good to Great, Jim Collins lists some examples of this, and a couple that come to mind that have just always stuck with me is Disney. Theirs was to, I think it was to inspire or to bring happiness to everyone or something like that. And the idea, it certainly permeates the culture of Disney. Another one was Nike's, early on, their mission was to crush Adidas. So not only, you could see how that would be totally inspiring, particularly in a sports, heavy organization, and sort of the subculture of Nike is in sports, and this notion of competition, et cetera. And so, man, those are moving things that that in theory can get people excited, can shape what we're doing. And so I think it's helpful for us in our industry to do that. Now, I get it. That's difficult to do. And Drucker says the mission is broad, even eternal. Now, and so you may be thinking, okay, well, if it's so broad or eternal, does it really do much for me? And I think the answer is yes. I mean, if you think about some of the things that have influenced society most. So let's think about the teachings of Jesus have influenced Western culture in a significant way. And some of those particular teachings, so for instance, the golden rule, like to love your neighbor as yourself, or do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is a very general and broad rule, but man, it is really powerful and literally finds its way into every single decision that you could make in a day. So it's broad and eternal, but man, it packs a punch, and it hits right down into the center of the heart, shaping the person. And so our mission is not, we're going to provide the best, most complete cleaning services to our customers. Like that, there's nothing about that makes your team be like, yay. I think we need to step back and as Simon Sinek would say, we need to keep asking the why question. Well, why that? Well, why that? And zoom out the lens. And here's something that Drucker mentions. He says, never subordinate them. It's a cautionary note he gives. Never subordinate the mission in order to get money. And Jim Collins talks about this in Good to Great, too, that the mission, the core thing of the organization. And Collins would break this down in Good to Great. Your purpose, your company purpose, this is the way he describes it, and your values. And those two things together comprise your mission of the organization. And so for us at our company, France Building Services, our core purpose is to love and serve well. And again, very broad and generic, but it has certainly come to attach itself to everything we do in the organization. And then our core values are things that we hold on to that won't change. So for us, humility, excellence, integrity in everything that we do, stewardship, those are the 4 for us. And those things matter for us, and they affect what we do and how we do it and why we do it, et cetera. And they don't change. And so the cautionary note Drucker was saying is like, hey, whatever your mission is, or in Collins' verbiage, whatever your vision or your purpose and your values are, that stuff doesn't change. Like, money doesn't change that. Doesn't change why you exist. Like, we're not in this just to chase. Our vision is not chasing whatever makes us the most money. And that's hard to grasp, particularly in our materialistic Western context, but I think it is certainly true. So I hope this is helpful. I would recommend, I can't say enough, I would recommend, if you haven't read it or haven't read it in a while, to pick up Jim Collins' Good to Great book again and read those first couple of chapters that dive into this issue. I think they can be really informative. There's also an article that was written in the Harvard Business Review by Jim Collins called What is Vision, I think is the name of it. And if you Google search that and search for PDFs, you can find it available online. It was written a long time ago. And those particular articles, or that book and those articles, are helpful. And in this book, I'd encourage you to pick up this book, The 5 Most Important Questions You Will Ever Ask About Your Organization. And one of those is the very first one: what is our mission? Which we talked about today. And this is most certainly the starting point, and it's going to help shape and help us think about these other questions that we're going to be asking in the future. So I hope this is helpful, and at least, at the very least, encourages you to dive in on your own and maybe read some material that's good and weighty that will cause you to think. Introduce you to Peter Drucker, who I think is worth reading, and maybe this will stimulate some conversation within your organization. If I can ever do anything to help you, please reach out to me, and we'll see you next time. If you found the information in this podcast helpful, please like and subscribe on whatever podcast platform that you're using. If you would like more resources or help to grow your cleaning company, head over to elitebsc.com. We have loads of articles, videos, free tools, coaching options, and a lot more. If your company is greater than $500K in revenue and you want to take your learning experience to the next level, check out our mastermind group. You can learn more about that at elitebsc.com/mastermind.